welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, February 17th, 2020. I am Yvette Boynes with the details. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment has dismissed claims made on social media over the weekend, suggesting that there are cases of coronavirus in the country. In a release issued last evening, the ministry made it clear that there are currently no cases of COVID-19 or coronavirus in SVG. In the release, the ministry noted that 16 persons were quarantined on February 12, 2020, including 3 Chinese nationals, 2 residents and 1 citizen of SVG, who returned from China, having left there on February 10, 2020. The 16, it says, are in addition to the 1 person quarantined on February 7th, bringing the total number of persons in quarantine to 17. According to the ministry, the 3 returning Chinese nationals, along with 13 members of their households, have been included with those placed in quarantine. The ministry said none of the 3 travelers have shown any signs or symptoms of infection with coronavirus, and that these individuals have been receiving twice daily checks by healthcare workers. The ministry further noted that on Friday, February 14, 2020, during the daily health check, 1 member of a household was found to have a low-grade fever. This person, it said, was not one of the travelers from China. It noted that out of an abundance of caution, swabs were taken for laboratory analysis from the person with the fever and the contact who had traveled to China. The ministry said the samples were transported by the Regional Security System aircraft to Trinidad on Saturday morning to be analyzed for COVID-19 at the CAPA Public Health Laboratory in Port of Spain. It noted that the laboratory reported that both samples were negative for COVID-19 and that the Ministry of Health Medical Laboratory, however, found that the person with the fever had influenza B, a form of the flu. The Ministry of Health said they will continue to monitor all 17 persons under quarantine for the recommended 14 days and will take all necessary measures to safeguard the health and well-being of the entire population of SVG. On radio today, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves warned Vincentians here and abroad of the consequences of deliberately spreading false rumors. According to the Prime Minister, under subsection 1 and 2, of Section 64 of the Criminal Code Act, persons are liable to 1 year imprisonment for deliberately spreading false rumors.
Subsection 1. It says any person who publishes any false statement, rumor or report which is likely to cause fear or alarm or to disturb the public peace is guilty of an offense and liable to imprisonment of 1 year. Subsection 2. It shall be a defense to a charge under subsection 1. If the accused person proves that prior to the publication, he took measures to verify the accuracy of such statement, rumor or report, as to lead him reasonably to believe that it was true. Well, if the official is telling you, this is the story, you'll have to get your information from some other source, where you know better than the officials. You notice a politician didn't issue this press release, you know. The officials in the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Health officials. This isn't Luke Brown's statement. This is not Ralph Gonsalves' statement. So those people who want to wish the worst for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, just back off now.
PM Gonsalves said that there are leading professionals in the country who are capable of dealing with issues surrounding the coronavirus, and persons must allow them to do their job.
Everybody is an expert. We have experienced persons in the health service. The Chief Medical Officer and the Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kisa Beach and Dr. Duncan. And we have good professionals in the Environmental Health Office, and we have nurses who are trained, or the medical practitioners in the field of public health and infectious diseases. And the protocols are being applied from the World Health Organization, the Pan American Health Organization, and the Caribbean Public Health Agency, which is based in Trinidad. It is not the first time that we are dealing with infectious diseases of one kind or another, which move across boundaries. You know, we have had chikungunya, we have had dengue, we have had bird flu, different variations of flu. We had the dreaded Ebola, and we have now coronavirus.
A number of persons, mostly women, came together last Friday for a march and rally held to raise public awareness about dangers of domestic violence. At the rally held at Heritage Square, a local pastor told the gathering that there are too many spectators of domestic violence, including the police, and it is time that the perpetrators are shamed. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd tells us more in this report.
They came out wearing orange, the color designated by the UN for its Orange the World campaign to end violence against women and girls. The march, which started from the Peace Memorial Hall, attracted mostly women. It was organized by guidance counselor and teacher Ketisha DeBeek Davis. Speakers at the rally included Pastor Cecil Richards, who highlighted key areas that he feels needs to be tackled, including persons who are just onlookers of domestic violence.
And there were so many people looking out their windows, and so many people follow along in the cars and tooting their horns, and so many people headed to their Valentine's dinner as if that was more important than a broken home. Too much spectatorship. Too much spectatorship from the people who seek to represent you but are not here this evening. Let me say that again. From the people who seek to represent you and are not here. I am not talking politics, but I'm talking about those who are going to come and ask you for your vote and want you to stand for them, and they're not here this evening to stand for you.
Pastor Richard addressed the issue of why women find it hard to get out and said that there is no need to be ashamed of whatever form of abuse they may be facing, noting that it is time the perpetrators be exposed.
To be silent because they know she values her reputation, because they know that she will be ashamed, because they know that she values her position, or she knows that other women will talk about her. So they count on her to shut up. But you're going to break the silence. If they ever raise their hand to hit a woman, shame on them. Shame. And not only that, shame is coming on them. Bring the shame by the bucket load. Bring the shame by the wheelbarrow load. Bring the shame by the truckload, because they ought to be ashamed of them simply because they do not respect the very image of God in a woman.
Richard said as a pastor, he cannot encourage women to stay in an abusive relationship or marriage. He pleaded with the police to act with urgency in dealing with domestic violence reports.
That they have a right to protect you, that they have to go all out for you, that from the time you make the first report, you should have to come back and make a second and a third and a 28th report. You understand me? We need to empower our women so that they can get out. Some of you have, wait, before you applaud, you have homes, all right? And sometimes they're going to come running back to you. I know you're going to say, no, go take your blows, right?
The organizer of Friday's March and Rally is encouraging other persons and organizations to continue to hold events to highlight the dangers of domestic violence.
I'm doing where I can reach, so I expect people to take the baton and pass it to somebody else as well, as far as we can go. So I'm encouraging everybody to do something in their village, in their community.
For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
Some of the persons who took part in Friday's march and rally say it is time to put a stop to domestic violence and urge victims not to be afraid to speak up.
I was a victim of abuse before, and I had to take my sons and run away to get away from it. So I'm back here about 4 years now, back from where we went, and he's not bothering us anymore. So I would support anything against women being abused.
The good thing that they did today is just that many people did not turn up as they expected. I hope that this put measures in place so that when women speak out, that the police will do something about it.
I have friends who are being abused and they are fearful of their spouse killing them and stuff like that. I always tell them to speak with someone about it, get help publicly, and go to the police to make things.
I think that we need more support groups. Well, for me, breaking the silence is important, and once people know that they have somewhere that they can go to share their stories or whatever, I think that more people will come forward and say what is happening to them.
At least it's a start. I have made it my business to say to the nation that we have to address violence as an issue, and we ought not to deal with it in a cosmetic way. As far as I am concerned, we need to ensure that attacking violence is done through our school system. So as part of our curriculum, we need to have our boys and our girls exposed in a systemic way.
Meanwhile, the panelists on SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last evening all agreed that domestic violence is a very serious problem in SVG that needs to be seriously addressed. They noted that domestic violence is not just only physical abuse in the home, but also emotional, sexual, verbal, and psychological abuse, which should not be tolerated.
In my profession, I from time to time encounter, women who are themselves victims of domestic violence. I have had to listen to the horror stories of the experiences when they go to the station to report their matters, and it's obvious that there are serious issues that need to be addressed as regards gender-based violence issues in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
But the Domestic Violence Act 2015 provides a wider definition, and so in terms of domestic violence, you're looking at what may be from what we may see as minor to moderate to severe offences. So if we start at minor, which is not a minor thing anyway, in the social and economic circumstances in which we live, you're looking at where a man or a woman refuses to provide financial support for the other persons who are dependents. That comes on the act as economic violence, so to speak, against the other person.
So the moral issues, we have disrespect, lack of control, anger issues, and it is not just with adults, but we see it, being seen a lot in schools with the bullying. We have the entitlement issue, where some persons feel that I'm in a relationship and because of that I'm entitled to certain things. Then you look at an individual not as a human being but as a possession.
Lawyer Zita Barnwell said that most of the time when domestic violence occurs in the home, it is because of how men view themselves and how society looks upon them as the one who should be in total control of the family, which should not be noting that everyone in the family has their rights.
Where it is that a man, and to be a man and masculine means is power and control. Those are the issues that we have to deal with to understand that if masculinity is not being to exert power and control over someone else to make them so subservient that they lose themselves, but it has to do with an equal dynamic of relationships between man and woman and children. And so one does not feel that if I speak to you and you do not respond in a manner in which I like, that I don't hit you, that I don't demean you or denigrate you, that it means that I need to listen to you.
The panelists said that one of the solutions to putting an end to domestic violence is for adults to model the behavior that they would want their children to follow.
And when we talk about children in the home, I always say that the home is the first place where the children learn hypocrisy. That idea of do as I say, not as I do, because kids learn through modeling. It is what they see parents do that they pick up more easily than trying to think about and the thought process of why is it that you're saying not to do this when you're doing the same thing.
When I deal with children and teenagers, what I realize off the bat, a lot of them are unaware of who they are. So we have a lot of children who are following all kind of philosophies, and you try to get them to answer one question: tell me who you are. I don't know. They have no thought beyond a particular point, that's my name, where I'm from. But what are the deeper things? Like, what do you hold strong? What do you value? And you would realize that it ends up being a lot of trivial things.
Both Giselle and Zita have raised some rather pertinent points as regards the whole issue of domestic violence. I want to begin first of all by saying that a topic of this nature shines a light on the institutions which are responsible for socializing our children. Yes. Our society, of course, the church, the school, and the family.
80 teenage girls here are currently benefiting from the Ministry of National Mobilization's Teen Mothers program. The program, which is supported by the Ministry of Education, helps to facilitate the re-entry of teen mothers into the secondary school system and other educational institutions. Field Project Officer of the Teen Mothers Program, Hazelyn Lewis, explained the procedures that a teenage mother has to follow to be part of the program.
Some will also receive assistance in form of daycare for their child, and also financial assistance in terms of meals and transportation. The teen mother, along with a parent or guardian, comes to the office. This office, they fill out an application form, provide what are the necessary documents required, like board paper, their last report, school report, and an identification of the parent or the guardian. And we'll take it from there after.
Lewis said that being a teenage mother could be very challenging, but notes that it is not the end of the world because one can move on and have a bright future.
Start by saying some of the challenges, well, one mostly it's the ongoing poverty. Then you have lack of parental guidance and family support, famous peer pressure, being influenced negatively, and also finding good mentors while at home or at school. So those are some, I would say, some challenges they're facing right now. Is to protect themselves, speak to their parents, guardian, or teacher about accessing contraceptive, be wise, and also listen to those whose lives were affected by becoming teen mothers, as they fully understand the hardship associated with being a parent at an early age.
Lewis said the Teen Mothers program has been a great success in transforming lives, and she is happy that it is in place to assist those who need the support and extra push to better their lives.
I would say the program would have been successful because last year we had one of our empowerment session, and we had this teen mother. Well, she's no longer a teen mother, she's now an adult. But we had her come in and give a testimony of how the program would have benefited her. And she went on to university and is now, able to go and mentor others and assist us as a facilitator on the program. So not just her, but there are others, but that's just one story I can give of persons who say, yes, I've benefited from it. Presently, because of what others are reporting, that they're getting the help, they're going back to school, they're getting a second chance to life, many are coming on board because they realize now, oh, I don't have to just get pregnant and that's it, my life is over. I can come to the Ministry of Mobilization within the gender department and gain, access back to school, and make my life better.
115 Vincentians who offer goods and services in 10 categories were recognized last evening at the Best of SVG Awards ceremony. Interactive Media hosted the event, which is in its third year. CEO Claire Kieser said this year more than 14,000 people voted for their favorite in the various categories.
Seems to have been very targeted. People knew who they wanted to vote for, and they did that. In fact, only 2,117, or just about 14% of the participants, voted in 25 or more categories and were therefore eligible to be entered into the draw for $1,000. But beyond this, the results of the poll show that the informal business sector is vibrant, strong, and plays a significant part in the overall economic activity.
Kieser noted that based on the data collected online, the Best of SVG awardees are popular among the younger generation, which says a lot about the business climate in SVG.
The data also shows that many of the people operating in this informal sector are younger people, with their target market being their peers. Many of the names of the top nominees in the different categories were unfamiliar to me, but very well known by my young friends. And some of the more established traditional businesses that performed well intentionally target the young demographic.
Some of the awards handed out included Best Nurse, Best Taxi Service, Best Mechanic, Best Policeman, Best Passenger Bus Service, and Best Photographer. President of the SVG Teachers Union, Wendy Bino, who is seeking re-election, said there is much more in store for members under her leadership. The union is preparing to host its elections on the 25th and 26th of this month. This year, 8 new faces have emerged to take up positions on the executive of the union, including the positions of first and second vice president, assistant general secretary, treasurer, PRO, and committee members. Bino, who was elected president in 2018, told SVG-TV News that she began her tenure aiming to achieve 6 major goals, which include emphasis on teacher welfare, the drafting of a new collective agreement, reviving all organs of the union, examining the issue of pensions and gratuity, collaborating with professional agencies to offer training programs for teachers, and providing greater accountability and accessibility for all members, as well as to foster a greater level of pride among members. Bino said under her leadership, the union has been able to achieve most of her set goals, including the reactivation of branches and committees of the union.
We took office 2 years ago. We had no functioning branches, and we had one committee barely functioning. So we reactivated all 10 branches of the union, and we revived and expanded committees. So we have several committees that now exist that our members can be a part of, while we build capacity for the younger teachers to take control of the teachers' union. So that to me is a great achievement, because all these branches were dormant, and reviving them is a major accomplishment for us.
The teachers' union negotiating team is expected to enter into talks with the government's negotiating team this Thursday in the hopes of having a new collective agreement, and Bino said there is another tremendous accomplishment under her belt.
For over a decade and a half to be exact, 15 years ago, the last collective bargaining agreement was signed, and come February 20th, we go into our first round of negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement, which we have already drafted, which has already been submitted to the Ministry of Education, and we have our team ready, and the Ministry has their team ready for negotiations. So this is a major accomplishment for us. We know that is one of the role of a trade union, to engage in collective bargaining for members, benefits for members, and we have, quite a few new things in the collective agreement that we hope, we can have a win-win at the end of the process.
Bino said though 2 years is a short time, much was done under her leadership, and gave the assurance that more will be done once re-elected.
It's a really short time, but I feel that we have accomplished quite a lot, and we have done quite a lot for members, because our 2 years, we mainly focused on members, getting the best for members. One of the things that we can look forward to, I don't really want to let the cat out of the bag, is that we can look forward to continuing to champion the cause of teachers, to represent our members' interests, to have more benefits, material benefits for teachers, to also look at, I know someone has approached me about having lands at a special rate for members of the teachers union. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to, because what we are doing is trying to ensure that our members can be comfortable without too much reliance on government, but more so on the teachers union and on their dues.
Bino is being challenged by former union president Oswald Robinson for the leadership position. A country work program is key in dealing with disaster risk reduction, and key stakeholders here have been encouraged to continue to work towards improving SVG's work programs. This was emphasized today at the start of a 2-day country work program performance monitoring framework workshop hosted by the National Emergency Management Organization NEMO in collaboration with the Caribbean Disaster Management Agency SVG-TV and the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction at NEMO headquarters. The workshop, which targets senior civil servants, members of the private sector and non-governmental organizations, is designed to finalize and validate the logical framework analysis for the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Country Work Program, enhance and validate the performance monitoring framework, agree on the next steps to inform the finalization of the CWP documentation, including the technical annexes. Director of NEMO, Michelle Forbes, said country work programs have many advantages in disaster preparedness.
Also within your own respective sectors and departments to build on your own work program, because we recognize that more and more institutions are asking us to do our work program in a particular format, not just to satisfy our own local needs, but also regional, international, so that any agency picking up this document, they can see where St. Vincent is, where our gaps are, and where we need to be. That's the whole issue of the work program, and of course, how are we measuring and how are we reaching our targets as we go forward. Just to end, I want us to remind you also, or just give you a tip that this will allow us to achieve the target A of the Sendai framework of having our country work program and our disaster management, not legislation, disaster management framework, so that we'll be able to meet that target by June this year at the regional workshop in Jamaica. So have a good few days.
Planning and Business Development Manager at SVG-TV, Andrea Grosvenor, said many SVG-TV participating countries continue to show commitment to their work programs, which have been improving over the years.
Improvement, and that commitment has resulted in our countries going from a 1-year work program to a multi-year program. We know that you can't really make a difference in 1 year. You really need to have a longer term outlook in your planning. So we've gone from 1 year to between 3 to 5 years. We've also gone from an activity-based work program where we focus on doing a lot of activities to a results-based approach. So we're looking at what are the specific outputs that we want to achieve and what are the specific outcomes. We've also gone from a work program of just representing the Disaster Management Office alone to a multi-sectoral country work program. These are the steps that we've made over the journey. And our work programs in the past did not have any indicators, but now we have indicators of progress, and through the basket of indicators that would allow us to be able to report to these multiple agendas. So we have improved. We have been able to move towards that improvement, and I just want to encourage us to continue on that journey.
Grosvenor said work programs provide countries like SVG with a strategic direction in disaster preparedness and allows for an agenda tailored for the country.
Have been able to move towards that improvement, and I just want to encourage us to continue on that journey. The performance measurement framework presents a new aspect in this journey, and also having better monitoring and reporting in the future. This country work program will be important for you even as a country for resource mobilization. A signed country work program allows you to access grant funding from SVG-TV as you have in the past, and there are more resources now. It also provides strategic direction not only for you, but as you interact and interface with other entities. So you're not implementing somebody else's agenda, you're implementing St. Vincent and Grenadines' agenda. And as you interact with partners, development partners, regional and international entities, you can say, this is the picture that we want to achieve in St. Vincent and Grenadines.
More than 100 local traditional cannabis cultivators are set to benefit from training in best practices cultivation tomorrow. This as the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, the MCA, continues to ensure that this group of investors stay ahead of the game and are better placed to benefit from the illicit production of medicinal cannabis in SVG. The training comes on the heels of similar activities for the local medical fraternity and staff. The MCA said Tuesday's training will focus on best practices in medicinal cannabis cultivation, record keeping and traceability, The training will be facilitated by Vice President of Accounts and Education at Ample Organics, Tom Ritchie. Ample Organics is a leading provider of cannabis solutions in Canada, including seed-to-sale software platform. The MCA has entered into a partnership with the company in respect of its own national cannabis tracking software. A presentation on the procedures for establishing a bank account for licensed traditional cultivators and employees will also form part of the workshop's agenda. The session will also hear from Minister of Agriculture Subota Caesar and Chief Executive Officer Gerald Thompson. The workshop will be held at the Methodist Church Hall in Kingstown from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m.